Alright, so this is how you mod I Expect You to Die 2. So it's probably gonna be like about an hour setup. I'm gonna go through a few different things. I'll put the little table of contents on screen right now, but we're gonna go through the installation, everything you need, the setup. I'll show you how my mod kit works. I'll go through an example, like I'll make a little example script, and then yeah, just basically show you the basics. Um, You're gonna need some programming experience in Unity. I mean, AI is at a point now where you can probably get by with some very simple mods, but for the most part, you're gonna need to know how to program in Unity. Um, so yeah. Alright, so for the setup, there are three main things you're gonna need to download. So the first is called Melon Loader, and this is what's gonna let you kind of hook your code into the game and like let you mod it. So go to this website. I have all the links in the description. So go to this website and scroll all the way down to the downloads, and right here just install it for your right machine. So I'm clicking that, open file, and then you should see it sound like this. It's gonna load for a second. Alright, so you should see a list of games pop up. These are the games you have downloaded. If you don't see I Expect You to Die 2, maybe you need to go add the game manually and then go to wherever it is on your computer. Like for me, it's in disk, program files, uh, Oculus, software, and then Shell Games Phoenix. That's I Expect You to Die 2. So once you get there, just click on the game, and then on select a version, click 0.5.7. It has to be 0.5.7 or else it won't work. So click install right here, and then once you do that, you should go to the game folder on your computer. So again, for me, it's in program files, Oculus, software, Phoenix, and you should see a couple folders like Melon Loader and mods. And if you see those, that means it worked. So once you have it like that, you have the Melon Loader set up, and there is one mod you should download before you get started modding. It's going to make your life a lot easier, and that's called Unity Explorer. So this is basically going to let you have like a editor view in the game and let you see all the objects in the scene and see where your position is and stuff. It's going to make your life a lot easier. So download Unity Explorer, Melon Loader, IL2CPP. I'll again, I'll link this in the description. So click this one. Let's go to download, drag it to your desktop. And then what you're going to want to do is once you have this, you're going to want to open it. Grab these two folders and just drag them into your I Expect You to Die folder. And yeah, I already installed it, so I already have them, but we'll just replace the files. And yeah, so now I have Unity Explorer in there, and I have some Unity Explorer stuff in here and user data. Alright, so the next thing you're going to need to download is Unity. So that's what's going to let you kind of make your level and design it. And there's two things you're going to need to download. The first is Unity Hub, which is again linked in the description. So once you download that, you should be able to open it and see something like this, except you don't have any projects yet unless you have worked with it in the past. And then you're going to need the version 2019.4.18F1. So again, a link's in the description, but go ahead and download it from here. And then once you download it on your machine, just go ahead and go to installs, locate, and then just find wherever it is in your computer and open it. And you should start downloading it on there. And once you have it downloaded, you can go ahead and make a new project. So you're going to want to click the 3D built-in render pipeline, name it something like I Expect You to Die mod test, and yeah, you can go ahead and create it. Make sure it's 2019.4.18F. Make sure it's that version, and then click create. And it should take a minute. Alright, so while you're waiting for that to load, let's open up Visual Studio. And what you're going to want to do is create a new project. Look for class library.net framework. So make sure it's the right one. Make sure it's .NET framework. Scroll down here. This one right here. Make sure it's that. Call it whatever you want. So I expect you to die test mod, and yeah, make sure it's 4.7.2 and create. That's gonna make a new Visual Studio project. Alright, so once you're in your Visual Studio project, you're gonna want to go ahead into the right bar and go to references. Right click that and add reference. So you're gonna need a lot of references here, so you're gonna want to hit browse and then navigate to your same Shell Games Phoenix folder, your I Expect You to Die 2 one. Go to Melon Loader, and then you're gonna want from this one Zero Harmony and Melon Loader. Click add, okay, they show up here, and then go add some more references. Go to browse, go to the managed folder, and from here I'm gonna throw them up on screen right here. You're gonna want assembly C#. You're gonna want IL2CPP mscorelib right here. Scroll down to down here. You're gonna want to find unhollower lib, unhollower base lib, unhollower runtime lib. You're gonna want Unity addressables, resource manager. You're gonna want just the regular Unity engine DLL right here. You're gonna want the animation module, probably. You don't need it, but you're probably gonna want it. You definitely need the asset bundle manager. The audio module. You want the core module. You want the input legacy module and probably input module. Problem with the physics module. You want the text rendering module. You want the UI and just the UI module. And then finally you want just the VR and XR module. If you end up needing some others, you might need to just import them, like if you do something specific, but these are the main ones you're going to need. So once you throw those in, alright, so once you added all of your references, just one quick thing, you're going to want to highlight all of them. So right here, go to properties, and you see copy local, just double click until they're false, or just type in false, and you should be good. Just make sure it's set to false, and yeah. Now you're ready to start actually adding in code. So go to the mod kit that I linked, and you're going to want 4 of these. You're going to want build asset bundles, or no, you're going to want gather game assets, level loader, level util, and my mod. So let's just start loading them in. So we'll just copy all this. Right click this, add class level util.cs. Just paste it in. You should be good. Maybe change your namespace to whatever namespace you have here. So I expect you to die test mod. And then do the same for all the other scripts. So level loader, once again, add class level loader.cs. Paste it in, and then fix the namespace. And then go ahead and do that for the 2 other classes. I'll just go ahead and speed it up, but you go and do that. Okay, so I was wrong. There's actually 5 classes you need. So you need Object Bank, MyMod, Level Util, Level Loader, and Gather Game Assets. So once you get all those, not the build asset bundles yet, you should have all this good. You might have an error up here. Just change whatever this is to your project name, and then you should be good. So once you have all this in, you should be good to go. Just one last thing is you need to go into properties, go to build, and then scroll down here, output path, browse, and just once again find your I expect you to die folder. So Oculus, software, software, and then you're gonna want to put it in user data, or no, you're gonna want to put it in my mods. So once you're in mods, select this folder and save. There's the save button. Alright, so once you set your build path, all you gotta do is go to build, build solution, and if there's no errors, you should see one succeeded, and then go to your go back to your shell games folder, go to mods, and you should see your mod in here. So I expect you to die test mod DLL. So that means your code is now in the game. And yeah, so last thing you need to do before you start building your level is go back to Unity. And this is the last thing you need to do. So once you're in here and the scene's all loaded, you're gonna want to go and just make a scene. So make your level. So I'm just gonna make a simple plane object, throw in a cube, make it a bit smaller. Maybe make it red. So I got a new material here. Maybe make it red. And yeah, just simple scene. And then the last thing you're gonna need is, that's where build asset bundles come into play. You're gonna want to make a new folder in here, create folder, name it editor. Go over here, copy this script, make a new script, build asset bundles. Let it load for a second. So this is going to be a separate project than your the one we just did. So you're gonna have two projects. The one is gonna be the Visual Studio one, which is the one with all of your mod scripts in there. And this one is basically gonna have nothing in it. So you're not really gonna need to worry about this. This is all you're really gonna need in there. This little build asset bundles thing. I think it's glitching out for a second. Yeah. So just copy paste this in. Again, you're not really gonna use this like solution a lot, but just paste that in there. And now what you're going to want to do, now you can build asset bundles. So just take your scene, whatever scene you just built in. So for me it's sample scene. Make sure we save. So I've made my little level in sample scene. So you're going to want to go find it in your little project window. So here's sample scene. In the bottom right corner you see asset bundle. Click on none, make a new asset bundle, and just call it whatever you want. So I'll just call it test mod bundle. Once you do that, go ahead to assets, and if everything works correctly, you should see build asset bundles. So go ahead and click that. It'll take a minute or two. Okay, since we don't really have anything in here, it took pretty short. Go back to Unity Hub, find your project window. So show an explorer, go to your folder, go to assets, asset bundles, and test mod bundle. This is what you're going to want to get. So go ahead and copy it. And you're going to want to do this every single time you change your level in Unity. Go to user data in your shell games folder and paste it in. So every time you make a change to your scene, like maybe I want to add a sphere here, add a little sphere, make it pretty small. So every time I change the scene, every time you're going to want to, again, save, assets, build asset bundles, wait for it to load, grab it from your folder, and move it in. If you don't do this, it won't save, like it won't transfer over to your mod. So, I mean, that's it. Now you're done. So now if you go ahead and open up your headset, give me a second, you can just start creating your mod. So I'll show you how to do that real quick. So go to my mod, .cs. The only thing you're going to need to really modify is this. So whatever you called your asset bundle, so I called it test mod bundle. Just find bundle file name and change it to that. So test mod bundle. Everything else here you don't really need to change. Maybe your scene if you didn't use sample scene. This doesn't need to happen though. This is just in case it couldn't find your scene. Everything else here you don't really need. Um, I'll explain what everything else does, but basically this you can leave blank for now. Same for this. I'll update it so those are already blank, but yeah. Alright, so now this is the moment of truth. So now you're going to want to start the I Expect You to Die, start the game. You should have already done it once before after you finish downloading Melon Loader. And if you're starting this for the first time, it might take a little bit to see it, but as you can see right here, we have the Unity Explorer thing. This is the mod you installed earlier that lets you kind of see the scene. So if you just click on a random thing like this picture, we have the picture object. If we delete this or turn it off, you see that one disappears. I don't know if you can see it on my screen, but there's a picture behind me disappearing. You see the position, you can see the scripts attached to it, all that. And then you're going to want to go into the van scene. So you can either click one of those buttons like how you usually do it, or you can just do it with the Unity Explorer. It's very simple. Go into the van. Now once you're in here, if you did everything correctly, if you press F9 on your keyboard, you should be able to load into your mod scene. So I pressed F9, and right here, I'm in the mod scene. So there's no lighting or anything. Again, it's just a simple, plain scene. But I'm in here. There's my sphere. There's my cube. And yeah, there I am. So if this is working, that means you're good. And for all intents and purposes, you can just start modding. But I'll show you how to do that. So if we exit out of Unity right now, or exit out of I Expect You to Die, there are a few things I'll show you how to do. Alright, so there are a few things I did in the mod kit to help you out. So if you go to level util, there are a few things in here. So stage item, attached script, you see make grabbable, this is a big one. Blind player, set layer, but just a bunch of other stuff. So I'll go ahead and show you a few examples. So if you go back to my scene, you can see there's the cube object. If I want to make this grabbable, so I want to make the player be able to grab this like how they would a normal thing in I Expect You to Die, we're going to want to go ahead in my mod and let's just make a little function. So let's say, or let's go down here, your custom mod methods. So let's say public void make grabbables, or set grabbables. So if my object is named cube, or we'll just call it test cube just for the sake of it, then we'll go into the Visual Studio project and say level util dot make grabbable test cube. So that'll make this grabbable. And let's say we want to do something with a script. So let's say the sphere, call it, let's make this like a watch or something, a watch. And we'll also make this grabbable, so level util dot make grabbable watch. Alright, so now we're going to want to make a custom script for this. So this is how you make a custom script. It's a little different than if you have coded in Unity before. There's a few things you need to watch out for. So let's just add a new class. Call it watch script. First of all, you're going to want to make it a modded behavior. Yeah, you're going to want to do using Unity engine. And then for every single class you make, every time you make a custom class, you're going to want to take, so like for example, go to gather game assets and take this constructor right here, this little thing. Every time you make a new class, you're going to need to put something like this on top of it. So we'll change this to watch script. Just substitute in the name for everything. Watch script. And then watch script. So then once you do that, go to my mod and do class injector dot register type in IL2CPP watch script. So every time you make a new class, you're going to want to put this constructor up top and then register it in the onInitializeMelon function. So remember that every time you make a new class, do those two things. Alright, so before we do any of the coding here, let's just make sure everything else worked. So we'll build the solution. Go back into I expect you to die. Got to build our asset bundles too. Almost forgot about that. Build asset bundles. Copy that. Okay, so now we can start the game. So now we start the game. Wait for it to load. Load to the van scene. Press F9 to load into the scene. And now, if we look into mod level root, yeah, pickup host. If you see this, that means it worked. If whatever you did to pick up. So I think this should be off by default, but if you just go ahead and turn it on, now we should be able to pick up the cube. So if we grab the controller, oop, wrong thing. So now we can pick up this, use it like any normal object, and yeah. So if we want to make it so we can wear it on our hand, this is where Unity Explorer really comes into play. So we're going to need three things. We're going to need to see what to attach it to, how to know when we release it, and so on. So if we go to Unity Explorer, okay, how do we see when we let go of the thing? We'll go into pickup, the pickup script, and scroll down, look for some things, and let's look at that. Is held. So is held, that's a boolean that triggers every time the thing is held. So if we go ahead and try to hold it again and update, now you can see is held is now true. So yeah. And then let's see where our hand is. So right hand, that's called right hand root. So now we kind of have all the info we need to make this work. So now if we go back to this class and go back to our watch script, okay, so we need the pickup script. So public pickup. We need the right hand, and that should be all we need. So just code it like a regular Unity script. If you don't know how to code, I mean, it's gonna be pretty hard for you, but maybe I feel like AI is at a point where you can probably get by with some simple stuff. If you want to make like a very simple mod, maybe you get AI to code most of this for you. So pickup equals game object dot. Also, an interesting thing you gotta realize is whatever we're attaching this to, so the watch, the pickup is actually on the parent component. So we gotta be careful with that. So transform parent dot get component pickup. Oop. And then right hand equals game object dot find. What would we call it? Right hand. It's right hand root. That was it. Right hand root. So you can see how useful this Unity Explorer mod is. So yeah. So we can make this optimized, but just for the sake of simplicity, let's just make a quick little hacky script. So bool holding if it's not holding, and is held, then holding equals true. If holding is true, but pickup dot is held as false. Then we'll set holding to false, and we'll call player let go. So this, in theory, should be called whenever the player picks up and then lets go of the object. So void player let go, and we'll say if, say like, we'll do like a distance thing, because again we're just doing a quick hacky script. So if vector3.distance game object dot transform dot position, hold on, it's lagging a second, and right hand dot transform dot position is less than, so again we'll go back to Unity, or go back to I expect you to die. Actually, we don't even need to do that. Let's just guess. Let's say less than 0.3. So basically, if we let go of the watch close to the hand, then it should snap on. So we'll say snap watch to hand. And then if we do that, then just equals right hand dot transform dot position. We'll say dot parent dot dot parent equals right hand dot transform and dot constraints equals rigid body constraints dot freeze all. Okay, so now in theory, oh wait. So now in theory, just a quick little script, if we pick up the watch and drop it near our hand, it should be good. And then remember also the pickup is off by default, so let's just go in here and say pickup dot enabled equals true. So maybe that'll make it on by default. If it doesn't, I don't know where the timing is at. So now go to my mod and we'll say attach scripts. Make a new void attach scripts. And then in here we'll just say game object dot find watch dot add component watch script. So if this works correctly, which maybe did, maybe didn't, let's see. And now if we grab this, yep, now it's attached to my right hand. So that works correctly. So that is just an example of what you can do. We dropped it near our right hand, and now, yeah. So now I'll show you one last thing, and that's the gather game assets thing. So that's a pretty big part of it. So let's go back into Van, and let's say we want to take something from another scene. Like let's go to backstage level. That's the little stage level. And let's say we want to bring these headphones, or maybe a crossbow. So let's look up crossbow.
My instincts were right. This place is crawling with Zoraxis operatives.
Gunbow.
Now, you're all sent up backstage. Maintain your cover as a stagehand until you can find and disable the threat.
Okay, so let's say we want to take the crossbow from this scene. So let's go back into Visual Studio, go into My Mod, and remember this thing from earlier, the, where was it? Gather scene names. So up here, if we want to take from backstage level, we will put in backstage. Is there a capital S there? It is case sensitive. Yeah, there's a capital S there. Backstage level. And if you want to take from the jet level too, then you just put comma jet level. Just you can do however many scenes you want. Just keep in mind the more scenes you do, the slower it'll take to load. And then since we want the gun bow from here, so from the backstage level we want the gun bow, right? And then if you want to take multiple things, like let's say we also want, what can we take? Headphones? Yeah, headphones. We also want the headphones. So go back in here. We'll also want the headphones. And again, if you also include a jet level, then you would just make another thing, new string, and then just list whatever you want, like the Oxy mask or whatever. But for right now, we're only taking it from the backstage level, so we're just going to leave that blank. So here we have, and then if we just go ahead and build again, press F9, and now I don't know where they are, but gathered root, oh, they're just disabled. So this says 0, 1, 0. Enable it, and there we go. We have a crossbow with us, and this works just like anything else. It has all the scripts still attached to it, shooter, whatever. So yeah, if you want scenes, if you want objects from another scene, you can just load them in like that, and it'll work like so. So there are a few other like specific things in this mod kit, but for the most part, that's the basics, like making grabbable, gather game assets. There's something called stage items, but that's pretty self-explanatory. Just if I wanted to set the watch's position to like 2, 0, 0, you just do stage item, watch, position, rotation, whatever. So yeah. Alright, I'm going to go over one more example, and that's if you want to make something other than a custom level. So in my Unity scene, I did some work. I added a rocket launcher. So my plan is I want to make it so every time we go into the backstage level, like the little the play, I want to make it so you bring a rocket launcher with you. So in Unity, instead of having the sample scene in the asset bundle, I'm going to remove it, set it back to none. I'll make a little folder called prefabs. Drag my rocket launcher in there. So every time I want something that I want to bring with me, I'll just put it in here, and then set its asset bundle to test mod bundle. Rebuild it. Build asset bundles. Okay, now for the scripting side, I added something to level util. A couple things actually convert to Phoenix, and the scene loading thing. So what we're going to want to do is, first of all, let's make a scene watcher. Scene watchers. And then we'll call something in the level util. I think it's called, yeah, run when scene loaded. And then in this case we'll do the backstage level, so backstage level, and we'll call a method. Let's call it on backstage loaded. So now let's make another method, void on backstage loaded, and then let's just load in the rocket launcher. So from the asset bundle, we'll call it asset bundle underscore bundle, and a new game object for the rocket launcher. And let's make it so if the bundle's not already loaded, we'll load it. Underscore bundle equals how do you do it? Dot load from file? Yeah. Load from file. Okay. So that's how you load the file, the asset bundle. And now let's just let's copy it over. So prefab bundle dot load asset rocket launcher, I think it's called. we'll copy it over because we don't want to take the original, just in case you want it again. And let's rename it so it doesn't have a clone in its name. And then let's set it to the right position. So we'll just put it on our VRRigs character. And then we need to convert it to Phoenix shaders. So what that means is if you try to just load in an object into I Expect You to Die, it's going to be invisible. You're not going to see it. You have to convert it to their custom shaders. So I made a function to do that in level util. So convert to Phoenix. I think you can, yeah, underscore rocket launcher. And then let's just add a component. I made a custom component for rocket launcher script. And then let's just make grabbable. Okay, I think that should be good. So now, as you can see, we load in our object from the asset bundle, copy it over, set it to the position, convert the material to Phoenix, and then add our custom scripts and make it grabbable. So this should work now if we go into I Expect You to Die. Let's test it real quick. Actually, one more thing I forgot to do is we never called seed washers. So we gotta come up here and just call it in a initialize melon right above the register scripts. And now if we launch the game, it should be working. So now instead of loading to the van and pressing F9, we'll just load directly into the backstage level, like how you would just playing the game regularly. And now hopefully, there we go. Now we have Rocket Launcher with us. It's a little glitched out, but
My instincts were right. This place is crawling with Zoraxis operatives.
that's how you do it.
Now, you're all set up backstage. Maintain your cover as a stagehand.
That's the basics. That's how you mod the game. If you need any help, just reach out and I'll be happy to help. I think my Discord should be in the description as well. So yeah, thanks for watching.